really excited people here to talk to you, to play for you. It's going to be really awesome. So, to start off with today, we're going to have Fiona Hughes, who's the co-chair of Reconciliation Tasmania, to do a welcome of country for us. So I'll invite her up here to do that for us now.
Thank you for that. Thanks for having me today. What a wonderful event. And look at all these people. Just fantastic, and we're fighting for it. Ya pulingina. Mini ya pulingina nina. Ya pulingina nohina. Hello, I welcome you to the land of the good spirits. And the Leachamirina clan, my old people who lived on this beautiful country, conducted ceremonies, celebrated marriages, exchanged news and shared an abundance of resources, gathered along the river margins and hunted on the vast plains surrounding Launceston. I acknowledge the Leachamirina clan's culture is unique, alive and strong, and that we should honour the old people who live with rhythm with the seasons as the first peoples of Tasmania. As the first people, we care for our country to ensure the continuation of our culture by passing on our knowledge to the next generation, which is you guys out there. When my old people met with other clans from other nations or new arrivals from other countries, two groups would join. Men would hunt for kangaroo, possum or black emu, and women would prepare an area for eating and would gather firewood and berries, fruit, nuts and wattle grubs for a meal. Then the ceremonies, the corroborees, gatherings would commence, and the dancing, the singing around the fire could well go on, not only for a night, but sometimes for many nights in a row. Each corroboree gathering with a message, each with its own story. Men, women and children taking part. Whilst during the day, the visitors would be taken and shown the sites of significance and be told the stories of the spirit of the land they would be passing through. In this way, my old people believed that by the end of the formalities, when the strangers were ready to move on, they would not be considered strangers, but friends, who now had the spirit of the country in their hearts. They carried the Nohina spirit with them, just like my old people who lived here. My old people believed that once the spirit of the land was in their hearts, then those people would never damage the land. They would love it and care for it like those whose country it was. I hope you continue to walk this journey with me side by side as one people with diverse cultures and build upon the relationship my old people trusted with our forebearers and continue to be friends. Nara Nina too, and thank you.
The Stony Creek Nation, as well as acknowledge the Aboriginal community of today. Okay, so to start off today, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Annie and I'm a Year 12 student.
And I'm Josh, I'm also a Year 12 student.
And we're your MCs for today. So to start off, we'll do a little bit of housekeeping. Yeah, you do that. That's cool.
Easy. Hello everyone. I'm here to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank all of you for being here today. And we all know why we're here. Because we need climate action, we need climate justice, and we need it now. In coming here and standing where you are standing today, you have recognized three key things. Firstly, you have recognized the validity of climate change. That it's not a hoax, that climate change is happening, and I think that's easy to see. Summer is longer, summer is hotter. Bushfire season is starting earlier and lasting longer. And we can no longer live under that rock that we call ignorance when the ice is melting and the forests are on fire.
Yes!
Yeah. Despite the protestations of an American man with orange skin and a strange haircut who shall not be named, climate change is real. And thank you for recognizing that fact. Because when you recognize that fact, you arrive at step 2. Step 2 is an enormous burden. You accept the burden, the responsibility of acting on your knowledge. To extend the metaphor of this movement's founder, Greta Thunberg, when she said the house is on fire, it implies not only an urgency, but a necessity to act. If you were walking down your street and there was a house on fire, some emergency, you would act. you would cross the road, you would call for help, you would call for assistance, and that is what we must do. We have that onus, we have that responsibility today. The media has been confused. They seem to comment on the climate disasters that are occurring as if it was just the weather, but it's so much more than that. We need that urgency. So thank you for recognizing that today. Clearly, no one wants to think of themselves as part of the problem. But every time we say a little excuse, sort of a small country, we can't contribute that much. And Tasmania, even smaller. Launceston, who's even heard of it? But when we live with that attitude, when the whole world accumulatively lives with that attitude, that is why we are at the point where we are today. No one wants to think of themselves as part of the problem. But when you live with that entitlement, every keep cup that you don't use, every single-use plastic bag, every time you leave a light on, leave the heater on, or just do something in excess, you're essentially committing a crime against our planet, our home. And the third thing that you have done is you have realized that you can make a change. You are all here today, and I am so overwhelmed by the support that we have here today. I am so grateful that you are all standing here today. You have made the decision, young or old, you have done your research, you have watched the news, and you have determined that you can do something. Not just as an individual, not just as a school cohort or whichever organizations you're here, not just as a single person, not just as people from Launceston, but as people who are striking around the world for climate action that we need now. Everybody, keep the momentum going, go on, go back to your schools, go back to your workplaces, go back to wherever you can make a change. Start an initiative, start something, because we need that change. The enormity of what you are doing today cannot be understated. The enormity of what you're doing, it is how history is made. When your children's children are alive, it will be recorded that there was a fight for our future, a fight for our planet, a fight for our home, and that you were a part of it. For all the students standing out there looking back at me, isn't it a shame that we're having to miss our lessons to teach our politicians one? Thank you.
Back. Again. Stand up, fight back. Awesome. Okay. When the air we breathe is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When the water we drink is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When the earth is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When our future is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
Stand up, fight back! Awesome, thank you guys.
6 years old, and I was always in trouble at school, but I played on the farm, I played in the bush. I developed a strong bond with nature at an early age. I got arrested saving the Franklin River 35 years ago. But apart from that, I pretty much spent my whole life building the business. But now I've stepped back and had time to reflect on what happened to the planet in my lifetime. Scientists are telling us we've pushed the planet to the edge. There is nothing we can do about global warming and species extinction. But they also say if we act now, we can slow it down. Now those words, if we act now, how many times have we heard that? And the world is only just starting to listen. And I was doing nothing, and like so many people, I'd say, I'm only one person, what can I do? Then, in November last year, I joined 600 kids on a school strike for climate on Parliament House lawns in Hobart. They all wrote letters to the Prime Minister and rang him on the spot, demanding action on climate. And they said, where are the adults? They said they need our knowledge and our skills, but they also asked why the adults have done nothing when they know the facts. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. But it also gave me hope. And they gave me the courage to stand up myself. So that's why I'm here. And I'm here because farmers right around the country are on the front line of climate change. Over 600,000 cattle died in the recent floods in Queensland. We're watching on as the Murray-Darling River slowly dies. And 70% of our food and fibre comes from this system. Much of inland Australia is becoming so hot it will be lost to farming altogether. And Australia now has the highest extinction rate in the world. But that sounds all very depressing. And humans are resilient. We're innovative and we can change. We have everything at our fingertips to transition to a new clean economy. We can change, and we will change. Sorry, we will change and we can change. A few months ago, my 6-year-old granddaughter came up to me and said, "Granddad, I've asked my class to draw pictures of the Great Barrier Reef for you to take to Mr. Adani." I said, "Does your mother know?" And she said, "No." I said, "Does your teacher know?" She said, "Yeah." So I asked Claire if she knew what Evie was doing, and she said she did, and she was happy with it. So Evie gave me the drawings, and I set off from Hobart on the Stop Adani convoy across to Melbourne and up to Queensland. My family, with Evie and her little sister Mabel, came to the rally in Sydney to meet Bob Brown. Bob saw the kids, came over, sat down on the ground. It's the opposite. She told me she knows the reef is in trouble, but she really wants to try and help save it. Now, all of us here today, that's all of us, are leaders in our own right. We must be, otherwise we would not have turned up to this rally. And it is our job to stand up and lead and get others to stand up with us. And make our voices heard so the people in power can no longer ignore us. And I never planned to be a climate activist, but things have changed. Now, standing here as a climate activist, I'm asking you all to do the same. Thank you so much.
So our sign is a pretty popular meme. It's so that's us begging Parliament to take action now so we can have a chance at a future, and that's the Australian government.
So I think we're all really feeling the heat today. And honestly, if we don't do anything about the rising water levels, we'll end up like Leo on the Titanic.
We also have Kelly and Nina here to talk about this. Nina's 9 years old and she's from Mowbray.
This sign was designed by Nina with zero input from me. And I think it's pretty challenging if a 9-year-old schoolgirl knows that at the top of the PM's to-do list is climate action.
Thank you so much. And go.
The only option is going forward.
I mean, that might have got to Launceston Council maybe, I don't know. But I reckon we can go louder than that. What about, do you want to try and get it to Hobart? The people from, yeah? Alright, you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Only option is forward.
Not bad, not bad. But if we want the big change, the biggest change. Do you reckon we could try and get that message all the way up to Canberra? Do you reckon we can scream loud enough to get it all the way up to Canberra? Alright, you ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
The only option is forward!
That's incredible. That is so incredible. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay, before I begin, I would just like to say that this land was stolen, and I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and pay our respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. Hello everyone, my name's Chad Bastick. I'm 12, turning 13 in 17 days, and I'm from Riverside High School. So, climate change is something that is affecting someone like me as a 12-year-old, which I mean, really, if you think about it, at that age, it's kind of a big thing. And that's why I thought I should talk to you all about this. So, when you're a kid, you sometimes think about what you want to be when you're older. Some want to be a fireman, a policeman, some want to work for the army, some want to be a prince or a princess, or some like me want to be a farmer, or an organic farmer, as some say. On my farm, I want to have solar panels, wind turbines perhaps, if I'm successful with my money, and water tanks. I'll grow my own food and sell it for money. I'll grow a tree that, you could use for firewood and woodcraft perhaps. I will have my own cows that I can use for milk, and not too many for the limit of CO2 and methane, and and sheep for wool, poo, meat, and I could just go on and on and on. I hope that my kids, if I have some future, my kids, their kids and others can have amazing futures where they follow their dreams, and hopefully they might come true, just like mine. Now, as I'm sure you all know, for the fact that you're all here, and thank you so much, climate change is a huge problem, and our Earth, our precious, loving Earth, is going to suffer unless we act now, and I mean right now. Climate change can have a huge impact on our Earth before we even know it. Imagine how that can impact on my farming. I won't be able to grow some plants because, obviously, it's going to be too hot. Droughts and floods will become more common, and I won't even be able to feed my farm animals. Because, obviously, what they eat has to be grown, and if it can't be grown, well, my animals are going to die. Every person here has the opportunity to make a real difference and make my future come true, as well as yours. Ask our politicians, beg to the politicians, that we need climate change. We want climate change, beg them to make a stand on it. I just recently learnt that we don't want change, we need change.
Climate change is not a lie. Do not let our planet die. And we're going to repeat that, getting louder each time. So if we start, you ready? Climate change is not a lie. Do not let our planet die. Climate change is not a lie. Do not let our planet die. Climate change is not a lie. Do not let our planet die. Climate change is not a lie. Do not let our planet die. Climate change is not a lie. Do not let our planet die. Climate change is not a lie. Do not let our planet die. People see me doing this everywhere. Every time we have a strike or an event or a day of action, I'm literally always doing this chant. So I say, what do we want? And you guys, you all say climate action. And when I say when do we want it, you all say now. Okay, you ready? What do we want?
Climate action!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Climate action!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Climate action!
When do we want it?
Now!
That was absolute.
But we do. We're here, and we're here, I guess, on behalf of people who can't be here today but want to be as well. And right now, I think this is the education that matters. Make no mistake, the children and young people are not missing out on their education by being here and taking part in this global action. Thanks. The Melbourne Declaration on Educational Goals for Young Australians sets out the goals for the education of young people in this country. Goal 2 of the Declaration aims to develop successful learners who are confident and creative individuals and active and informed citizens. Look around you, because that's exactly what we're seeing here today. This, here and now, is what education looks like, and I think we'd better get used to it. The young people here are speaking their truth, but they're also speaking the truth of climate science. They're shaping the education they need. We have every reason to be impressed with the young people of this region. Earlier this week, with other colleagues from the university, other amazing teachers and passionate sustainability people from our community, I had the honour of being a mentor at the Tasmanian Climate Leaders Conference. Seeing the passion, ingenuity and commitment to finding more sustainable solutions here in northern Tasmania was absolutely inspiring. For anyone concerned that this strike is a distraction from their education, I'd say this is the education they need, and more than that, this is the education that we, the older generations, need. So are we listening? While my childhood back in the 70s was pretty carefree, I can't say the same for these young people. If we think of the news of recent years, I don't have to go through it. Ethan did it, Anna did it, the droughts, the longer bushfire seasons, the floods, people, farmers losing livestock, losing farms. These events form the backdrop against which today's children are growing up. I'm devastated that what should be a carefree time of childhood for you has been taken away. Your childhood and future childhoods are now preoccupied by the prospect of a changing climate that is making the world more inhospitable to human life. Given that we're all connected in this, I feel that the least that we, the adults, can do is stand with you and stand up for your right to protest this great injustice. I think that I can safely speak for all of the older people here today to say we're grateful to you for having the courage to speak truth to power. We can learn from you. And if we believe that your future is worth standing up for, then we too, the older generation, must do more. It's not fair that we leave the children to do the heavy lifting, that we just wipe our hands of it and say, this is yours to solve. We too must think about what we can do to help change the situation that we're leaving you to deal with. Particularly since, like the US, we have a government led by politicians who do not take climate science seriously and who are actively encouraging expansion of the mining that causes the release of carbon emissions. But while the government is dragging its heels in terms of action on climate change, we must remember that we are not powerless here. It's abundantly evident that these young people are exercising their power of their voices and their presence here, united in this movement. This is what power looks like, and more power to them, I say. This amazing turnout today is the result of the power of these young people tapping into the gravity of this global moment, and that should be recognised and supported. This is inspiration for us older people to exercise our power too, the power of our everyday actions and our power to support young people who are taking action. In closing, I want to say that one important way that we, the older generation, who has benefited from, I guess, the good life in this country, we can exercise our power by finding out what our superannuation is invested in. I was shocked to discover that the fund I had my super invested in had shareholdings in mining companies. When I learned this, I switched to an ethical superannuation fund. It was easy to do. And I think We owe it to these young people and all of their futures to find out what our superannuation funds and what our managed funds are invested in. We can vote with our dollars and decide that we'll not put the future of our young people at further risk by investing in funds that profit from mining and fossil fuels. I believe strongly that if we care about all our children and the future generations, then in addition to turning up today to stand by them, we'll exercise the power we have in defending their right to a safer future. Thank you.
Under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When the water we drink is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When the earth is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When our future is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
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 Woo! Woo!
I want to break it. Hi everyone, my name's Anna Roberts. I'm in Year 12 at Launceston College. And at the school strike for climate on March 15th, I looked out at 500 of you as we became a part of the over 1,000 strikes that took place that day across over 100 countries with over 1 million other people. Now, I'm looking at least 1,000 of you, maybe more, as we become a part of the over 2,500 strikes taking place today across over 120 countries with millions of other people. All who want three things. 3 asks, 3 demands. 1, no new coal, gas or oil projects, including Adani. 2, 100% renewable energy generation and exports by 2030. 3, fund a just transition and job creation for all fossil fuel industry workers. But you know, it's not even that we want those demands, it's that we need them. We have the evidence, we have the science, the numbers, the statistics, the facts, we have the proof. Just look at how rising sea levels are sinking Kiribati. Just look at the rate of coral reef loss and degradation on the Great Barrier Reef. Just look at how quickly Greenland's ice sheets and glaciers are melting. Just look at the increased frequency and severity of extreme weather events and how intensified droughts are hurting Australia, how intensified cyclones are hurting the Pacific, how intensified floods are hurting Bangladesh, and how intensified bushfires are hurting Queensland and New South Wales just of last week. And if you are at all like me, you're reading the reports that say we have until 2050 to do this, we have until 2030 to do that, the reports that say we have 15 years, 14 years, 13 years, 12 years. 12 years to do something. To save this planet. To demand climate justice. And for those of you who don't know, climate justice is about the idea of treating climate change as not just a physical environmental issue, but as something that is a symptom of the system, a symptom of ethical issues, of moral issues, of political issues.
It's about the idea of standing in solidarity with the communities on the front line and those who contribute the least and yet are affected the worst. It's about the idea of choices, and that we simply cannot afford to not demand justice, demand action, demand change. And I know sometimes it feels like that change is something out of your reach. But look around you. Think about all the people striking right now, right here in Little Launceston, all the way to Greta Thunberg, who's striking today in New York. Yes, we live in a very scary time, but by you being here today, you are helping make it that little bit less scary. And I think the book I'm reading at the moment, The Post-Carbon Reader, sums that up perfectly in this quote. The challenges ahead and the stakes at hand couldn't be more enormous. And yet, we feel hope. A real hope. Renewed with every new community project that's launched, every initiative that's formed. An initiative like this strikes, so thank you for being here today. Because now they have no other choice than to listen to us, than to hear us, than to watch us, than to see us, to see our signs that say what we stand for is what we stand on. Let's say the time is now. Let's say there is no planet B. So, world leaders, please give us not what we want, but what we need. One, no new coal, gas or oil projects, including Adani. 2, 100% renewable energy generation and exports by 2030. 3, fund a just transition for all fossil fuel industry workers. Thank you.
Yeah, so firstly, our Indigenous peoples, we have to acknowledge that they were fighting for this fight since the moment that we stepped on their land. They were fighting for their land because they looked after it so sustainably, and here we are today ruining it on them. So I'd like to give it up for all of those Indigenous people in our crowd and around the world. Woo! Okay, so we're here to demand climate action and specifically 3 goals for our Australian government. So firstly, the no new fossil fuel or oil projects, the 100% renewable energy by 2030, and to fund a just transition. And we have those goals because the ship that is sailing in a direction, and we're here today to set it right. Because if we don't turn this ship around, floods, droughts and wildfires will become the new norm. If we don't turn this ship around, biodiversity will no longer be diverse. Ecosystems will be crumbling. If we don't turn this ship around, coral reefs will only be found in our history books. If we don't turn this ship around, then disease will spread like wildfire, as there'll be over 160 million climate refugees across the world. However, the truth is that we can turn the ship around, because look around you. You can find passionate, empowered youth, adults, everybody united, not only here in Launceston, but across Tasmania, across Australia, and across the world. Because it is days like these, when we have over 2 million people taking to the streets and demanding climate action, that we, united, can make sure that we go unheard, that we can stand in solidarity with those fighting on the front lines, and that we can really disrupt that flow of life so those in power can start making the right decisions. So I'm going to leave you all with a question, one that you can all probably answer pretty easily, but I'd like you to share it with your friends and family. But most of all, I'd like to leave this question to all of those people up in our government, up in those powerful positions who are so-called leading this earth. Do you want to be a part of the solution or the problem? Thank you.
I'd like to thank the MCs because they didn't thank themselves. I was kind of surprised about that. For being so, coming with so much energy and inspiring us all to take action on climate change, which is something that I think we've all come here together to work towards. I would like to bring up something about the council. So I guess a few of you would know that a couple of months ago, Launceston City Council declared a climate emergency. I think that's fantastic, and I'm really proud to be a part of the Launceston community after we've declared this climate emergency. But I would like to ask Launceston City Council, as they're right here, I hope they can hear me, what now?
Yes!
It's one thing to declare an emergency, and that's fantastic. But what are we going to do about it? It's an emergency. As someone said, if your house was on fire, you'd do something about it. Our house is on fire! So I urge you all to take the action into your own hands, to go to the council, write a letter, go and stand in there right now and demand to speak to someone, demand change, because we have the opportunity to do that, and it's in our hands because no one else is doing it, so we may as well. I want to draw your attention to the tables at the back. There's some fantastic organisations up at the back. We've got the Australian Youth Climate Coalition, who are just amazing. I'm part of that. I recommend everyone getting involved in that. We've got EXA, we've got the Wilderness Society, lots of wonderful organisations. I recommend going and having a chat to them. To get more information and to join up. If you want to be a part of something like this, organising something like this, it's so rewarding, and I can't recommend it enough. There's a big sheet, a big banner at the back, and we're all writing to a politician and to the council what we expect of them. So effectively, we're writing our demands on there, and that's going to be delivered, that's going to be photographed and posted. And I want everyone to sign that. I want you to write your own little piece of advice, your own little concerns, everything on that banner so that we can share that with everyone and share that with the politicians and demand the change. I want to go over the 3 main goals again. So, no new fossil fuels, that's including the Adani Carmichael coal mine. And as many of you would know, the people up in the First Nations people who were on that, inhabiting that land, they just had their native title stripped. So we are at this pivotal point. We need to put pressure on the federal government and the Queensland government to demand that they're given their titles back. You know, they deserve that. That's their land. And we can't afford for this mine to be built, and I can't emphasise that enough. So it's in our hands to make that change. No new, 100% completely renewable energy by 2030. Yeah. It's doable! It's so doable! So many countries before us have done it, and I don't understand why Australia won't do it, and it's in our hands again. And a smooth and just transition for all of those people working in the non-renewable energy sector. Again, totally doable. So I guess, just to finish off, I want to ask you all, please, to go back to school after this, because I don't want to hear from lots of angry principals. And also, then we're not giving the politicians a reason to tell us to go back to school, because we did. Woo! And education's important. Woo! And that's how we become more informed, and that's how we can make more progress in this fight for climate justice. Again, post about it, take your own action. Because if everyone takes their own action, we can make incredible change, and it's down to all of us. And don't walk away from this strike thinking, I went to a strike and that's awesome, which it is, not taking away from that, but it's about what you do now. It's about what you do with that inspiration, with the motivation that all these incredible speakers have given to you. It's about what you do now. What are you going to go away and do? What change are you going to make? Lastly, just ask that with the last strike, we had a couple of people who left their signs behind. So make sure, if you don't want to take your sign with you, that's cool. We can take it and do whatever with it. If you've borrowed a sign or you don't want to take your own sign away, if you just put it in a pile on the grass and we can do all the taking away for you. It's just really important that we are cleaning up after ourselves, because that's what we're here to talk about, cleaning up the earth. So let's take the first step and not leave a huge mess here. And yeah, thank you all so much. Thank you so